Greetings and salutations. My name is Tish and welcome to the Artist Haven. In this video, we're going to tackle something that people either really love or really hate. I have yet to find a person out there that finds a middle ground on this, and that is coffee staining, eco staining, any of that kind of stuff. You either love to do it, you love the mess, you love the experimentation, you love all of that. You can be patient enough to wait for it to dry. But there are people out there that absolutely hate getting messy, hate the big mess, just despise everything but love the effect. So I'm going to show you my way of doing coffee staining so you can learn maybe to appreciate the process, because my process doesn't involve an oven. It doesn't involve 3 days waiting for things to dry unless you're in a really humid climate like tropics. You might have an issue. But other than that, you're going to be able to create something really cool. I got everything I need, so let's get down to it. Let me preface this with saying I do mine my own way. I have developed a way to do this over the last, let's see, I started coffee dyeing stuff when I was doing furniture, and that would have been 2002-ish, maybe 2007, somewhere in there. I've been playing around with different ways to do it, and this is what works best for me. If you don't like the way I do it, do it your way. It's cool. But I always keep my mind open, because here's my thing. I'm always willing to adapt what I already know, because my cookie dough recipe, my chocolate chip cookie dough recipe has evolved over 20 years. So, actually probably longer than that now. I use either instant coffee, and I just grabbed this because it was on clearance. I don't even know what the date was on it, but it doesn't matter what the date is, the freshness date, because we're just using it. We're not going to drink this. I wouldn't drink this anyway, unless I was really desperate for coffee. But you can get this at the Dollar Tree. It's a smaller bottle, but you can get it if you're only doing a little bit of coffee dyeing, then you can perfectly have more than enough. The other thing you can do, please, for love of all things holy, do not use your leftover coffee unless you, like, if you make coffee in the morning and there's that little bit left in there, you are not going to be satisfied with the coffee color that you get from that coffee unless you drink medical grade coffee, which I call it medical grade because you're a doctor, a resident, and you're pulling a 36-hour shift, and that stuff is thick as tar. But here is the trick with that. Reduce it down. Take all your leftover coffee for about a week, throw it in the fridge. It's going to keep for a few days in the fridge. You're good. Take it, put it all in a pot, and reduce it down to half. And then you'll get about the consistency that we're going to be working with. I do the same thing with avocado. I do the same thing with tea dye. I reduce my base down. This is already reduced. This stuff takes out a step. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to mix it with hot water. I just pulled this off the stove about a half hour ago. I can still feel it radiating heat, but I can touch the bottom quickly. The next thing, you're going to need something to mix in. I suggest a container that is at least 3 times the volume that you plan on mixing your base at. And I will tell you the reason why. You need a stir stick, something to put your coffee stain in to spray with. You can use the big Zep ones. This is a Walmart one. You can get these at Dollar Tree, and this is another Walmart one. You can get these at Dollar Tree sometimes. I haven't been able to find them lately, but they do exist. You're going to need isopropyl alcohol, 91% isopropyl alcohol, and a lot of it. So you're going to need a measuring spoon, some baking soda. This is fresh baking soda. I just reused the container because it's small. we get a big box of it because I bake a lot. You're going to need a funnel. I didn't clean this out. It's okay. Um, a funnel, or if you don't have a funnel, you're going to want a soda bottle, water bottle, some kind of plastic bottle. You cut the top off, use that as a funnel. Okay. Obviously, you're going to need papers to color dye, to coffee dye, excuse me, color dye. We're going to do color dye though. One day this coming soon. I'll teach you how, I'll show you, not teach you, because if you're here, you like art, so you probably know how to do it already. I have legal size 20-pound paper, letter size 20-pound paper. Doesn't matter what kind of paper you want to coffee dye. If you want to do notebooks, you want to do graph paper, you want to do whatever. I do forewarn you, most paper made today is made with water-based inks, so they are going to run. Most. You want to do a test with regular water, or I have a freebie on my Ko-Fi site, coffee site, that is lined paper. It goes half page, so when you fold it in half, they go the right way. Print that out on laser printer, and then that won't bleed. Some inkjets will and some inkjets won't, and I can't tell you what yours will do or won't do. So I know mine will bleed because of the alcohol. When I use straight water, it doesn't. I get these trays from the Dollar Tree. I have a stack of like 20 of them over the course of the last few years because I use them, like I put my projects on them and I do all kinds of things with them. They are worth $1.25 in my opinion for the art room. Do not use these in your kitchen, please, for all. Unless you're like really, really broke, then you know what? Write to me. I will find you something less expensive, or less expensive but good quality. These are my spray trays. I have 2 of them. One is a little bit more loved than the other. I use these for spraying ink oxides and inks and coffee and whatever, and this is all dry in here. If I really wanted to clean it, I probably could, but I don't want to. So, and this is papers, and you'll see why I have these in a minute. So let's move this out of the way and let's get this. Oh, and you're gonna, if you're working inside, because I don't know about y'all, but Texas is windy as all get out. So we do not do things outside when it involves paper, unless you have lots of rocks or weights or something to put on said paper. So I have this big piece of paper that we're going to be putting down after we mix, and this will keep my desk from getting oversprayed. So it's just packaging paper that came in some kind of delivery. All right. I think that's it. Open said container of instant coffee. It does not matter the brand. It does not matter if it's decaf. It just doesn't matter. Buy whatever is the cheapest. And we are going to do, I'm using, these are a mixing cup. They're mixing purposes only. They're for paint or resin. I bought these for resin, and so I know they're going to hold up to the heat. Use something that's going to be heat proof or heat resistance. I have a big kettle, like an enamel stock pot that I got at a thrift store for like a couple bucks, and I use that when I'm on the stove. You can go back to using this for food, but I don't recommend it. All right, so we're going to do 1 to 1. So we're going to do this one. I think there's enough in there to do that. And let's do this one. That way I know we're not going to get bubble, toil, and trouble. So we're just going to dump this in here. And now I know why it was on clearance, because it's it's one solid piece. So let's take the stick. So if you use 1 cup of coffee stain, then or coffee, then use 1 cup of water. If you use 1 tablespoon of coffee, and then use 1 tablespoon of water. I know that I'm going to need this because we're going to do a whole bunch because, well, I guess we're doing that, Mark, because I don't want to try and put that back. I got happy. There we go. And if you have a little bit more coffee than water or a little bit more water than coffee, this isn't baking. It's not an exact science. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, so I have what's this? This is about 6 ounces of coffee. And I'm going to use half a teaspoon, 6 ounces by volume. So that is 2/3, 3/4 of a cup. And I'm going to use a half teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. Because what the baking soda does, not only does it have a really cool chemical reaction, but it helps neutralize the acid in the coffee. So it's not acid free, but it's at least lowered. And you can put a little bit more if it makes you feel better. Just don't put too much because you will get little pellets of solidified bicarbonate of soda at the bottom of your container. And it sounds like beads when you go to to shake it up later on, because this is shelf stable-ish. I'm not going to say you can store it indefinitely on your shelf, but for me, I have never had this mold, and I've lived in Minnesota, Illinois, and now Texas. So now we're going to fill this up to 2, and this is why you pour slowly, and this is why you make sure you're in a container at least double or triple the size, because see, we're going to get this cool reaction because hot water and baking soda. Because heat activates baking soda, and that's why you get this bicarbonate thing going. And you can either beat it down or you can take a hair dryer. Now we can stir a little bit better. And you're just popping the bubbles. Now, if you wanted to, you could wait. But I'm impatient, so I'll probably just stir until these go down. I'm going to let this sit just for a minute. I'm going to clear off the rest of this desk, and I'll be right back when these bubbles go away. Now I can see where my level is, as far as like the bubbles have gone down far enough where I can see on the side of the cup where I need to put my water. So we're in this one. So we're going to do it here. And we should be at about 12 ounces. Yep. Okay, and we're going to give this a good stir. Make sure everything gets dissolved. Baking soda, coffee, all of it. And we want to try and cool it off a little bit. If you have an ice bath, you can put it in an ice bath. I don't have an ice bath, so we're just going to stir this for a few minutes. I got impatient. I put it in the freezer for a while, for about 10 minutes. So now it's chilled off. I also put down my drop cloth or drop paper, so I apologize for the rustling paper. So next step is to add the rubbing alcohol. Now, You don't have to do this step. You can add more water. I put the rubbing alcohol in it because it dries faster. So I'm just going to go by ounces. So you do 24 ounces, or excuse me, we have 6 ounces of coffee, 6 ounces of water. We're going to add 24 ounces of rubbing alcohol. That's why I said it takes a bit. I get this at HEB, which is a grocery store down here in Texas, if you're not familiar. This is 32 fluid ounces. I pay about $2.75 for this bottle. But I had a little bit left in that one, so I wanted to use that one before I opened this one. There we go. And this is kind of my thing. I don't know, people think I'm weird, but I hate it when there's the foil attached. Like when you open a chip dip or sour cream and people leave the foil on there or the plastic on there, it drives me crazy. So we're going to 24. Okay, there we go. I'll give that a stir. And you can see how dark this is already getting. This is just a pine stir stick. I used to use this to stain pallet wood, and it worked great. All right, so we're going to stir this up. Now here's how, this is your concentrate. Don't stare at it and concentrate. Not that kind of concentrate. So here's where your experimentation is going to need to come in. When you have, this is a Zet bottle, and it has how many fluid ounces in it. So what you want to do is you want to take, you can do a 50-50, so you do 10 fluid ounces of concentrate and 10 fluid ounces of rubbing alcohol. You can add water if you're going to use it all up. Just know it's going to take longer to dry. So I am going to start with a 50-50 mix of the concentrate and more rubbing alcohol. Now here's where the funnel comes in handy, because not only, see now this doesn't fit. So go to the Dollar Tree, get yourself a set of funnels. Yeah, befuddled. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to pour 10 ounces in here. And it doesn't have to be exact. 10 ounces-ish. Okay. And then 10 ounces of rubbing alcohol. If you decide to add water to this, please use distilled water. And I might actually do that myself here. I'll put in 5 ounces of distilled water. Actually, you know what? I will wait. We're going to put the remainder of this container. I didn't follow my own rule. Look at me. I'm going to put the rest of this in this old alcohol bottle, so that way I don't spill it, because I'm a klutz and I know it. There we go. And then I know this is coffee stain. I will label that when we get done. Now I'm going to put a lid on it, shake it up. I'm going to put a piece of paper in the tray, and we're going to test and see how dark it is, because we might want to dilute it more. Okay. I'm still getting water. There we go. Oh, there must be something in the bottle because it's speckly. Well, we got speckled water this time. So we're going to put one here. I'm going to put another one down. I wonder why that's speckly. This isn't speckly. Let's add some water. Maybe I need to add some water. Yeah, I need to add water because it got too much. So we're going to add 5 ounces of water. Okay, I can't find my jug of distilled water, and that's kind of a poop, but oh well. I know this is distilled water in this spray bottle, so we're going to fill this to 30, which is the bend. I've never had this happen before because I usually use Dollar Tree stuff. There, that's about right. Now I have to find my distilled water because now I have none in my studio. That's no bueno. Let's shake this up. So the Maxwell house does chunky things. I've never had that happen before, so you learn from my mistakes. Now watch, I'll find my distilled water. Everything's kind of spread out in here, so who knows where it went. Okay, this, we're going to continue to spray this. Oh, there we go. See, that's better. Okay. So you keep spraying. So you do 1 page dry, okay, and then you do 1 page to spray. And that's residuals from the sprayer. See, it got chunky. I've never had that happen before. I mean, I've had it like solidify, like little chunks of the baking soda. So, interesting. We're getting rid of those chunks. I like them. I'm not concerned about them. I don't know how many sheets that was, but I usually do no more than 10. So we're going to grab a tray here and very carefully pick this up. I'm going to take one of these sheets, put it down, and then, wow, it picked up some of the paint from the underside. That's really cool. Okay, so we're going to let this go. And these should be dry anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, depending on how warm your house is. My studio right now is 85 degrees. I'm going to let these sit for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to lay them out flat on my table because I have a big 6-foot table behind me, and we'll see how they dry. So we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes. I'm going to do another tray and then some in here and then some in the other tray. So I can do about 50, 60 pages this way. I'm going to keep spraying in here, and these are those pages that we put in between the pages. These are my pages that I put in between the pages, and these turn out cool after you use them a few times. I just stick them aside and use them over and over again until they look cool, and then I take them out. So we're going to take a page, and we're going to do kind of off center like that. And we'll do another page on top of it, and we're spray. Right, I have some printables here. These are from Seven Plaza, and I am going to coffee stain these. These are printed on laser paper too. You're going to want to test your inkjet printer if you have an inkjet printer to make sure that you can do this with inkjet. And I'm going to tip this back up again because it's easier to spray. Normally I stand up when I do this, and I can't do that with my camera set up. I'm going to clean up this. Oh, before I do, I want to show you. I didn't do any legal size paper, and I'll do that with the next batch after I turn off the camera. And I will post pictures on Instagram or something, maybe. But I don't know if you can see through the, should be able to see through the camera. This is what would have sprayed over onto my whole desk. And then all that too. So this is why, and then this paper, when you use the same paper over and over again, you get really cool collage fodder. And this is how dark the concentrate is. This is dry. So if you want to use a straight up concentrate to put it in a needle bottle, I'll show you. Hang on. I've got one. I don't have my coffee one up here, but I have the tea one. This is tea. Put it in a needle bottle. And then you can do, I can put this right here. And you can use cardstock. You can coffee deck cardstock, pattern paper, whatever, but this makes it really cool. So you can do drops. And there are little tea leaves in this one because this is, I did this with, because I save my tea bags. And then I put all the tea that's from my tea bags in a container with one of those gel packs. And then I put them and then once it gets full, then I boil it down with water and run it through a wire mesh because I don't mind the little tea bits in there. So you can do something like that and then just, you know, wait for it to dry. Or you can take another piece of paper and press it down. This is what I usually do. I'm impatient. I have ADHD, okay? So, and then you peel them apart and let them dry. Now this one you can put back in your middle pile, you know, like your in that pile that has all the colors, and add color to it when we do color dyeing. So yeah, it's fun. I'm gonna let this dry. Okay, I did a few more than 5. I did 7, but or 10 pages. I did 14 pages, which is fine. This is what we got though. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, how did this get blue? But that's kind of cool. I think that's just from doing the art ink in there too. So you get some really cool results if you use the same container, and don't wash it out if you're a lazy artist like me. Now these are, I would say, half dry. So I'm going to hit them with the hair dryer and we'll get them fully dry so you get the full effect. So these are the first ones we did. These ones have the little speckles in them, and I actually like the speckles. So, you know, I'm gonna roll with it. First, before we go through the stack, I want to show you, this is what we did with the tea dye. I love the texture of it. I love the coolness of it. And this is, I would say, 70% dry. So while I was drying these just air dried on their own. So yeah, it doesn't take long. And this is almost completely dry. The big spots are a little wet, damp still. But yeah, so if you have floor space where you can, you know, spray them all in a stack, put them on a tray for half an hour or so, let everything absorb, and then lay it out on the floor. It literally takes, I don't know, hour, maybe 3, you know, so put them out overnight, you know, as long as you don't have a cat or a dog that's going to try and eat it. Because Rhea tries to eat this. I'm like, no. So let's go through the stack real quick. I normally I would, if this was just this, I would put it back in, but this blue line around it, I like that. So we're gonna keep that one, keep that one, definitely keep that one, definitely keep that one. I don't know where that came from, but again, we got the blue. I think it's from the tray because I don't think the other one did it. This one I'm gonna put back because I want to fill it in with more color. But this has got the cool blue, and just so you're aware, this oxidization or whatever, this, if you let these air dry, this will get darker, so you'll have these really deep dark edges, and that's part of the reason why I love this stuff too. So we're gonna put that over there. We're gonna keep this one, keep this one, keep that one, and this one, and that one. So these are some of the ones that were re-inked because I can see it where it was coffee before. And this one's really blooming cool. This one I'm going to put back because I think it needs a little bit more love. Keep that one. And this one. And this one turned out really cool. Yeah, we're going to put that one in there. See, I'm wondering if this blue didn't transfer to the rest of it while we had it in the stack. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we can replicate it, because that's part of the fun. Now this one's another one that was in the other, because here's the other coffee dye that was on there. And I think I'm going to put that in for an art stack. Yep, 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 yep. See, I love that because you get the dimply effect, and then you get this effect, and you get all kinds of cool stuff. This one we're going to put back for the art, one of the art ones. So we got a good stack of papers. Plus, this is just the first 2 trays. So we've got about 15 papers here that are, I would say, 87% dry. And if you leave them kind of fluffed like this and fluff your pages like this, they'll be dry in a couple of hours, completely dry and ready to use. If you have any questions, let me know. If you decide to do some coffee staining, whether you use my recipe or not, let me know on Instagram or down in the comments. Let me find what you're looking at. Let me see what you're doing. There we go. Those are words and they're hard. So, thanks. Love you guys. I hope you have someone that you can say, I love you too, you know? Bartender, I need another.